And here we go. So, we're about to get kicked underway. We're going to see which guys have picked their Pokemon. This is the first round of the top cut. Whoever wins is going to progress, and whoever loses will be knocked out of the tournament, unfortunately.
All right, so we see Michael here lead the Salamence and the Talonflame against the Xerneas and the Smeargle. So this is interesting. At the start of the season, in a Xerneas Groudon matchup, it was sort of like the big six counter lead was the Salamence Talonflame, but things have changed since then, and it'll be interesting to see. Phil will obviously be prepared for this lead. You know, every strong player is prepared for Big Six. So
yeah, most definitely. Some good news that we actually do have the actual details of each opponent's team now, so we can confirm that Smeargle has actually got a choice scarf on it, making that. We'll probably see something very similar to that sneaky move that Nihal used against Alex Poole. So, and we will confirm that it was actually the high jump kick as well. So, yeah. Okay, so the players are actually just looking to make their move. So we do see the first move there. We see the Salamence Mega Evolve there, which is fantastic. Obviously putting the pressure on immediately. We see the Smeargle go for that fake out, which is going to flinch that Talonflame. And we see the double edge going straight and connecting to that Xerneas, doing a decent chunk there.
Yeah, so we see Phil's he's gone for the Geomancy straight up, but he has taken a lot of damage in the process, so it'll be interesting to see how he responds to that next turn. We saw the Smeargle with the fake out. It is Choice Scarf, we saw that yesterday, so he has locked himself in, which means he'll need to effect some sort of switch if he intends that Smeargle to do anything.
Yeah, most definitely. So, we see here that probably most likely what will happen is the Smeargle will be switched out as it's been locked into Fake Out. Fake Out only works on the first turn. So, we'll probably see a switch out here. The Talonflame has an option here to either go for that Tailwind or to go and try and knock out that Xerneas. So we do see the Phil Salamence coming in here. That's going to intimidate both Pokemon. So that will hinder the attack of the Talonflame just by a little bit. We see that Michael has chosen to protect it with his own Salamence. Talonflame is actually going to go for that Tailwind. So obviously getting the speed control straight off the bat. And Xerneas goes for that Dazzling Gleam, which is going to connect with that Talonflame. And it does a decent amount, but not enough to get it within... Not enough to get the KO.
I would be very surprised that Dazzling Gleam did KO. We see Michael there. He realises that if he restores the speed advantage to the Tailwind, his Pokemon will once again be faster than Phil Xerneas.
Most definitely.
But we see Phil switch in the Salamence. Intimidate will reduce the damage from the Brave Bird or the Double Edge. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him try and set up his own Tailwind and protect his Xerneas.
Sure. Okay, so we do see the Protect here. We'll see if you're correct in that assumption that we go for that Protect. So, it does go for that Brave Bird. We do see the Draco Meteor come out from Michael. It's going to connect with Phil Salamence. Do we see the KO out of this? And it does. It gets the KO. So, Phil unable to utilize that Salamence. Good play on Michael's end.
Yeah, it's certain. I mean, we mentioned earlier yesterday that, you know, Draco Meteor is not seen very often on Salamence these days. These days it's Tailwind. Michael already has the Tailwind option on his Talonflame, so he can afford to run the Draco Meteor. Sending in the Amoonguss here. Look, Phil's not looking great at the moment. The Amoonguss is weak to both the Talonflame and the Salamence, although both Pokemon have taken Intimidate. It's going to be very, very interesting here.
Okay, so he does opt for that Rage Powder, obviously redirecting all attacks to that Amoonguss. We see the Talonflame going for that Brave Bird, so that is going to connect with that Amoonguss. Not sure if that's going to be enough to KO, being that it is intimidated. It does take a chunk off. And the Talonflame is on 1 HP. We do see the red card, though.
Red card Amoonguss has been something that's sort of popped up in the last month or so. It's a great strategy, but, you know, he removes the Talonflame out. He sends in the Groudon. I'm guessing, while this animation, I'm guessing that we're going to see a Dazzling Gleam here, which will do considerable damage to the Groudon, and we still see that, you know, Amoonguss is still that, and Smeargle is still in the back.
Yep, most definitely. However, that being said, there is that Salamence in play that does connect with that Double Edge, but due to the Rage Powder, it has been redirected.
Yep.
So we will probably most likely see that Dazzling Gleam, which will most likely KO that Salamence and do some a decent chunk to that Groudon as well.
It's also it's also something to note, now that Talonflame has been switched out, it's no longer intimidated, which means before I doubt it would very much be able to KO that Xerneas with Brave Bird. Now it's no longer intimidated. I'm pretty sure that Brave Bird will be able to come in and direct.
Yeah, so it is a little bit of a hard spot that Phil is in at the moment. We do see the Smirgle come out from Michael, and we see obviously Phil bring in his own Smirgle. So as we mentioned before, Michael's Smirgle is Choice Scarfed. So if it was opt to go for, let's say, a Dark Void, it would connect first, but it could also go...
Tailwind, I believe, is still up.
Tailwind is still up? Okay.
So that would mean that Michael's Smeagol is now the faster of the two Smeagol's, but slower than the Xerneas, or the slower than the Xerneas.
Right. Okay. So we could see a fake out here, or we could potentially see him go for the Dark Void. A little bit of mind games here. So there's a couple of ways that this could go down. There could be the Crafty Shield as well to prevent that Dark Void, which Phil could do. But we do see the Protect from the Groudon, which Phil is very excited about. We do see the Crafty Shield come from the Xerneas. He's just yelled, come on, so we're going to see what he does. He goes for that Moonblast, and he's going to go for that Smirgle, and it looks like it's going to take it out. So very well played there by Phil.
And Phil Smiggle's yet to move, and we see the transform into his own Xerneas. So that is now a Xerneas. That's now another Xerneas who's holding a Choice Scarf and his Geomancy.
That is a very strong position that Phil has put himself in, and obviously the crowd loved that, and Phil was incredibly happy with that play, and rightfully so.
That was what I called earlier. I mean, Michael, he had one more... he didn't need to do that Protect. He needed to put on the pressure. He needed to just run rampant. He's left himself open.
Most definitely.
So
we do see the Dazzling Gleam come from that Ditto, who's now transformed into that Xerneas. It is going to KO that Talonflame. We are probably going to see the other Xerneas. No, sorry, my apologies. But the Groudon is going to go for that Fire Punch right into that Smirgle. It does take it down to the red, but it's pretty much going to look like it's going to be game here.
Yes, excellent play from Phil there. I was just a little bit worried there before, but you know, a player of his caliber, I shouldn't have doubted him.
It's not a mistake you'll make again, hey.
I've never. It's
you never know with Pokemon.
He's one of my closest friends in this format.
Yep.
in this entire community, and I've never doubted his ability. I've just always doubted him to sometimes see the right matchup. One friend to another. He's always been critical of me when I've deserved it. So
no, that's fair enough. And you know what? You need that honest feedback. But how is that? He ends up going and predicting that, going for the transform. Well played.
It was his best out, but that was still a fatal move from Michael. He still had momentum there, and he just let it go.
He did a little bit, but that's Pokemon, and one slight misplay like that can cost you the game.
Yep.
So, as I said, we're going to go into Game 2 with Boom Guy, known as Phil, or should I say Phil, known as Boom Guy.
Either or.
He's got the advantage going in, winning the first game. So, how does Michael reevaluate himself from this match?
If Michael looks back, he would see that where his mistake was made, he had momentum, he let it go, he just went passive at the wrong moment. I mean, going passive against Xerneas is not a smart move. I mean, his first two turns, while it was stand response, they were still flawless. They still set him up. So Phil played it well. He may have not got the tailwind up with his Salamence, but he still managed to get the Intimidate off. So he sacrificed a lot to keep that Xerneas alive, and you can see how it came through.
Most definitely. So here we go. We're going to go into Game 2. With Phil winning the first game. So here we go. So we see the Talonflame and Xerneas coming in from Michael's end, and from Phil's end, we will see the Smirgle Salamence. So both players seem like they're going straight for the offensive plays here. We do see the Intimidate come off in the Salamence, which is going to hinder the Talonflame here. Matty, what should we expect here out of turn 1?
It'll be very interesting. Smeagol, the Intimidating ensures that Talonflame cannot one-hit KO the Smeagol with Brave Bird. So Smeagol is pretty free to get off a Dark Void.
Sure.
That being said, Talonflame can go for a Tailwind before the Dark Void occurs, make sure that Xerneas is faster than the Salamence. Michael, he can't... I wouldn't be surprised to see him go for a Tailwind and a Protect just to ensure that his Xerneas is faster.
Not a problem. So we see that he withdraws his Salamence and he's going to go into his own Xerneas here. Be interesting to see what the Smeagol does go for. We do see that Tailwind, as you predicted. We don't see a Protect coming from his Xerneas. We do see the Dark Void come out, and it is going to connect. Will it miss one of the Pokemon? Oh,
it's a Talon. That's actually not too bad for Phil.
Yep.
If he missed the Xerneas would get the Geomancy up, and things would go to hell.
Yep.
Quite literally. But the fact he's got the Xerneas up. Phil can now try and Geomance with his own Xerneas. He can still try and get another Dark Void off on the Talonflame. So not all is that unfortunate, but not all is lost. Both players are still in a sort of a neutral holding position here.
Sure. We do see him withdraw his Smeagol, and he is going to go into that Salamence with the Intimidate on the Talonflame. Which is that the second Intimidate there?
Second Intimidate.
Yep. Okay. So Xerneas has actually got a turn 1 Wake Up, and he's going for the Geomancy. So very lucky there for Michael. Going straight off the bat. Also important to note that it is faster than Phil's.
Tailwind.
Tailwind again.
Tailwind again. And we also saw Talonflame get the taunt up on Phil's own Xerneas, preventing the Geomancy.
Oh, that's right.
So did Phil actually go for that Geomancy on his own Xerneas? Yes, he did.
Unfortunate. Very well played there by Michael. Okay, so in this retrospect, Michael seems to be taking the command in this second game.
He's certainly in an advantageous position. He has Tailwind, he has Geomancy up. He can opt to either try and remove the Xerneas with the Moonblast immediately from play. He can go for the Dazzling Gleam and the Brave Bird. Dazzling Gleam, which would certainly do significant damage to Phil's Xerneas and remove Salamence. Alternatively here, if Phil has his Amoonguss in the back, he can send in his Amoonguss, which would activate, if the Amoonguss cops the Dazzling Gleam, it would activate the red card, removing the boosted Xerneas from play. So
that's important to know. Oh, here we go. We do see the Salamence being removed. Are we going to see Amoonguss come out? We do see the Amoonguss come out. But is he going to go for that Moonblast or the Dazzling Gleam? Plays it smart and goes for that Protect. Wants to play it safe. We do see the Talonflame go for this Brave Bird. We'll see it connect with one of the Pokemon here, and it looks like it's going to, yes, it is, connect with that Xerneas. Does a decent amount, maybe a quarter of its full HP, and we do see Phil go for that Moonblast straight into that Talonflame there, but it's not going to be enough to KO.
Okay, that was an intelligent play from Phil. He expected the Brave Bird to go into his own Xerneas, knowing that the Brave Bird and Dazzling Gleam would KO it. He's got the double Intimidate on the Talonflame, so he knows he can take that Brave Bird. He sends in the Amoonguss in the Salamence slot. Michael did play quite well, not Dazzling Gleaming, but I still doubt that Brave Bird will be able to KO the Amoonguss here.
Exactly. Oh, that was a critical hit, unfortunate. So it does mean that his Amoonguss is out. So very lucky there for Michael, but his own Talonflame does faint, but he does get rid of that Amoonguss, which enables the red card and such. So you do see a Dazzling Gleam here, and that is going to KO the Xerneas. Michael looking very, very strong in game 2 here.
Yeah, it's a bit unfortunate for Phil there, but yeah, Michael, look, I thought Phil set up, the turn before, the one we just had, I thought Phil set up really well, but Michael protecting the Xerneas and not going for that, not pressing the attack. I did criticise him for not pressing the attack earlier. At that time he held back, expecting the red card. I mean, it's not the first time that's happened to him.
No.
So he waited to see if Phil would make that move, and by holding back, he's now in a position where he was able to, if the Talonflame didn't KO this Amoonguss, it would still trigger the red card, and therefore the Xerneas is still safe to Dazzling Gleam.
Most definitely. So, we do see a match forfeit. Phil has decided that he does not want to show anymore, and he is quite comfortable going into the third game. I think that's actually a smart play, being that Phil says, okay, that's all right. I don't really want to reveal too much information here. I don't think I can intelligently win here without showing. Also, I don't think I can win here. I'm going to show too much information. I'm going to take the initiative, and I'm going to forfeit here.
The information game's irrelevant. This is their fourth match, but it's a way of resetting the mind. Phil knows he's lost. He doesn't want to play it out because then it starts to prey on your mind what you did wrong. You know, there's regret.
Very
but
true.
he forfeits the mat. He draws a line under it. He learns from that quickly, and then he can quickly refocus on. So he wants to get into that next game. He wants to turn his focus on, turn his focus away from that loss straight onto the next game, and that's a tactical reason to forfeit, to refocus the mind.
Yep, most definitely. There you go. You heard it from the best guys. But here we go. We're going into the third game, and whoever wins this will continue on through the top cut, and whoever loses will unfortunately be knocked out of the tournament. So from Michael, we see the Salamence and the Talonflame, and from Phil, we see this Salamence and Smeargle. So we do see the attack drop on both the Salamence and on the Talonflame, and then Michael does answer with his own Intimidate as well. So that's going to affect Phil's Salamence, the Talonflame on Michael's end, and the Salamence as well on his end too. So right off the bat, we could probably expect that Phil would be probably playing a little bit more aggressive here, not taking as many lucrative chances. So we do see that the Mega Evolution coming from Michael's end. We'll probably see Phil's come through next, which is what we'll see here. Matt Rowe, what do you think in terms of Phil? Would he go for that fake out? Would he go for that Dark Void?
I'm expecting the Dark Void followed by the Tailwind.
Yep.
From Phil's end.
Okay, so we do see a Protect here. We do see the Tailwind as well. So it looks like he is going to go for that Dark Void, which he is, and he's probably only going to connect with that Talonflame, being that the Salamence protected itself.
No, that's a wise play. I would expect to see, the Tailwind momentarily. So he's rolled the dice a little bit, going for the Dark Void or going for the Dark Void. He knows that Michael's got Draco Meter, not the Tailwind. He knows he needs his own Tailwind up, otherwise that Scar Smeargle is vulnerable the next turn.
Sure.
So it's a bit of a risk, but I think it's one it's paid off. He now has the speed tiers. You know, we've seen two Tailwinds, but the speed tiers are basically identical to the first term, and that still is an advantage to Phil. He still has the Smeargle. It's the fastest thing on the field, and he can Dark Void.
Most definitely. So we do see that the Talonflame has been put to sleep through the Dark Void, so we could probably expect another Dark Void here just to secure the two sleeps, but could very potentially get a turn 1 wake up, which we don't see unfortunately here. So we do see the Dark Void, and he gets a double miss, which is so unfortunate. So we do see that it's going to take that out with... Oh, no, it doesn't.
No, Intimidate.
Intimidate, right, of course.
That could be fatal to Michael there. If he'd gone for the Drake on the Salamence, he removes the Salamence from play.
Most definitely.
Going for the double edge on the Smeargle, you know, after being intimidated, that's a bit of a risk. He feels threatened by the Smeargle. He wants to try and remove it, but I still think the better opportunity would be to try to go for the Dark Void, knowing that Phil cannot one-hit KO his Salamence in return.
Most definitely. So we do see that the Talonflame is going to get knocked out here by the Salamance's Hyper Voice. Phil going for broke, it seems, straight off the bat. He's going very offensive. He doesn't want to take chances. He is firing off those Dark Voids because he just wants to secure his position, which I think is a smart play on his end.
It's still a bit of risk involved there. He's relying on Dark Void, which is 80 accuracy.
It's 80 or 90 accuracy?
80.
Oh, okay, 80.
80.
Okay.
So it's crucial once to get the Dark Void on the Salamence, and that basically puts Phil in a very safe position there. If he doesn't get the Dark Void on the Salamence, then it comes down to speed ties, and Phil Salamence will not live a Draco Meteor.
No. We saw that in the last game.
So
it very convincingly got knocked out. So now comes the question of what's going to happen here. Does he opt to go for another Dark Void, trying to get the double sleep here?
Phil has no reason not to go for the Dark Void. If he doesn't get the Dark Void off and Smeargle is fainted, he gets a free switch in. The important thing is to try and preserve his Salamence, because it gives a positive matchup against Michael's Groudon.
It does connect here. We do see a double sleep here,
and we do see Phil's
going to be celebrating for that one, and we see him definitely on stage, very happy, in a respectful way though. Duly noted, he's just very happy, and rightfully so. So we do see the Hyper Voice come into play, does get the KO on that Salamence, and does get decent amount done on the Groudon as well.
So it'll be interesting. believe Michael's last Pokemon would likely be his Xerneas. So it's still not all is lost for Michael yet. If Dark Void fails to get off here, the Xerneas will get the Geomancy up and turn everything around. That Salamence cannot one-hit KO that Xerneas. It's intimidated, so Double Edge will not be as effective. Hyper Voice, would certainly do a decent bit of chip damage before the do a bit of chip damage before the Geomancy. But we see the Xerneas protect. We see the Dark Void from Phil, and we see the Tailwind again. So he's looking
really
he's looking to maintain his speed advantage, which is good. If that Xerneas had of Geomancied, Phil would still be faster with that Tailwind up.
Most definitely. So we do see here that very strong position. Phil having the 4 Pokemon, Michael having the 2. We do see the Dark Void connect here. It is going to put that Xerneas to sleep. Groudon already being asleep. Could see a wake up from Groudon. Very possible, but we do see the Hyper Voice connect here. It's going to do another chunk to that Groudon. The crit on the Xerneas as well. Groudon does wake up and goes for that Fire Punch, and he's going to go straight for that Smeargle and just be done with that Dark Void.
Yeah, but I think that's too little too late. Phil has the Tailwind up. He still has 3 Pokemon in the back.
Yep.
Salamence is running rampant here, and now he's got the Xerneas to provide him with additional firepower to take on Michael's own Xerneas.
That's very true. So we see here Phil taking charge in this. Unlike the second game that they had, it was Michael that was dictating the battles, but we do see the Protect come from the Groudon here, and we will see the Hyper Voice come from the Salamence. It's going to do another steady amount of damage to that Xerneas, not quite KO, but we do see the Geomance come into play from Phil. He's playing it safe. He wants to ensure that he's got steady with that commanding position. And we'll see what Michael decides to do with his Xerneas. Oh, wait, sorry. No, my apologies. I think it was a protected. Yeah, he's with his Xerneas.
No, the Groudon protected.
Groudon protected? My apologies. So,
and
Xerneas is still asleep. That's right. So, yeah, I'm not exactly sure how Michael can come back from this.
Yeah, I don't think he can come back.
No.
We've based on the damage outputs. Hyper Voice alone will remove both Pokemon, and Dazzling Gleam boosted. Even with Groudon's resistance, it will not be able to survive that. So that is game to Phil Nguyen. He takes it in three sets.
And 3 sets. That's